I can fix that afterwards.
But I do.
Is it me or... Oh, balls. All cameras initiated RAM. Okay. Is your phone on airplane mode?
It's...
Well, no. I mean, yours, if you want. Huh? All right. Yeah, because if someone calls you, it cuts out the recording, and then we end up in a last week situation, which I'm furious with myself with. Let me just... It is recording. I'm not touching it. But yeah, technical difficulty from last week's episode. I went to click record. It was already recording. And an episode all about you has minimal footage of you.
That's good. It's kind of like, who's behind the camera?
Yeah.
Behind the mic.
Yeah. It's, well... Sorry, I just don't check this one. Is this all good?
I'm liking this outfit, right? Very, very vibrant.
Very bright.
Yes.
How is the, following on from last week's episode, how's the old health scare? You feeling better? Yeah?
Yeah. We missed you last week.
You got a bump. You're a ticking time bomb.
All right. What bump? Should
what's the bump?
Take a look.
Yeah. You can't see it. You could just feel it. Okay.
Is it like a tiny, tiny bump?
I wouldn't say tiny.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's big.
What other symptoms are you exhibiting? Let's do a differential diagnosis on Ram. He's dressed.
But don't take any medical advice.
Don't take any medical advice. Yeah, is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. You got a sniffly nose. You think that's connected? No? You haven't got COVID? No.
Have you got a sniffly nose?
Yeah.
Yes, it most likely is connected.
Can hear him from down the road. I'm just
Who hasn't got a sniffly nose at the moment?
I know,
It's just like block, but it just won't go.
Yeah. Do you know what I heard? Sorry, just very quickly. Is our legs in shot here? No. Okay. Because there was too much leg action in the last episode. I'm a little bit uncomfortable.
You know what they say.
I had this theory that in the UK, the weather changed in a day. Just boom, changed. Mm-hmm. And I was very happy for me that day because I don't like the warm.
Yeah.
And I was speaking to my dad and he goes, yeah, everyone at the mosque is saying the same thing. So apparently everybody felt it happen in a day.
Yeah. We do like talking about the weather as well.
We do like talking about the weather.
So
just in the
people
UK,
talking, people in the mosque, people at work, everyone just likes talking about it. Did it change in a day? I'm not too sure. I think no one remembers the mild days. That's the thing. No one remembers the days when it was just 14 degrees.
But I don't think there was that though.
I think today's pretty mild, but we're treating it as a cold.
Okay.
It's about to get a lot cooler.
Yeah. Have you started turning the heating on yet?
Yeah, well, that's because I've messed up our thermostat a little bit, so I need to sort that out because bills are going high. Yeah. Basically, it's just the way it functions isn't easy. It's got so many different settings, different time zones, timings. And stuff.
Yeah. I have a theory on this. Okay. I think if you were to make have a job where you just program thermostats, you can make a killing. Nobody understands thermostats. My thermostat was going from so my boiler was on from 11 to like 5 p.m. I had enough hot water for like the whole of Leicester to shower, all for myself. Every time you turn on my tap, it was boiling water.
How many inefficiencies are going on like that?
I don't know. Well, I noticed a 1-bedroom flat shouldn't be like $180 a month in electricity.
Yeah.
So
How long were you paying up for?
Like 2 or 3 months, and then I went in. Get this, for a while I was turning off the thermostat.
Wait, but your bills were included, right?
No, my flat.
Oh, I thought the bills were included.
No.
Heating, anything included?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, I started turning off the boiler when I came to work and then turning it back on. And then one time after the gym, I had a shower and I ran out of hot water. I was like, this is not a good system. So I Googled it and I think I figured it out now.
Okay.
My bills have gone down.
Yeah.
But I still don't know.
We need that system here because we're switching the boiler on and off at work. Yeah.
That can't be good.
Yeah. Right.
I'm no plumber, but I don't think that's good.
Good. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Boom.
Welcome to Director's Debrief, episode 45, I believe, because I just sent Ram the audio for 44. By the time this goes out, you will have had happy... Your engagement party was insane, man. Yeah. It was so much fun.
Fun.
Had a great time.
We had Ram behind the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, took some great snaps.
Yeah, it was incredible. Genuinely so much fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome anytime. I'm glad you enjoyed the food.
Yeah, it was delicious. It was incredible.
This could go horribly wrong.
I hope those things age well.
Yeah, all right. Thank you. Yeah. Just a lot going on.
Yeah.
But I feel everyone's got that. Something in the water at the moment. Busy life.
Yeah.
Busy times.
Even he's been busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been getting because his training company sends me invites to his meetings.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I feel like for 20 minutes, I was just getting ping, 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 ping.
What are they
ping,
doing?
ping.
What are they?
Yeah. What are they teaching you, Ram? Nothing. I'll be sending a very harshly worded email if it's nothing.
They might teach me stuff, but yesterday was more so just catching up on my little bits and bobs.
Yeah.
Would you recommend the company you're with?
Yeah.
Would I recommend it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
We've worked with a few companies, and I have to admit, the company that Ram, should I say their name?
Yeah.
I'm only saying good things.
Yeah.
Baltic Apprenticeships.
Yeah.
They've been really well organized.
Okay.
Like really, really well structured. They helped me in the process of finding Ram, the recruitment process, and I feel like they've done a good job in training you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Nice one.
We were going to talk about you.
Yeah.
I want to structure that conversation. I had a lot of fun last time. I think it was really, really interesting to dive into you a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
But I think I'll save that for a future episode.
Nice.
And we've got some really exciting guests coming on soon anyway.
Yeah. Looking forward to that.
As well as that. But let's talk about the environment.
Yes.
Yeah. We had a chat outside whilst we were making a coffee earlier about the environment. Mm-hmm. What were we talking about?
We were talking, basically it came up in conversation that the bubble peanuts or whatever that we now use, packing peanuts, that's what we call it, bubble peanuts. They've gone, the ones that we did have were environmentally friendly or biodegradable, so they say. I say so they say because who's checking?
Yeah.
Who's actually checking if something's biodegradable?
Well, that's the crazy thing. They're probably still ending up in landfills. Because I think you're supposed to dissolve them in water or something?
No, so even if they end up in landfill, that's not a bad thing.
Okay.
They just are meant to biodegrade quicker. Landfills biodegrading quicker, and it's not just plastic that's going to be there for 1,000 years or whatever. It's just 10,000 years. So that's the plan. Apparently it works, but I say apparently because they charge a premium for environmentally friendly stuff, and that was where we got into a bit of a discussion that we were saying that at the end of the day, whilst businesses virtue signal, they talk about sustainability and whatnot, and we do here, we really do, and we do strive to be better for the environment. Ultimately, for businesses, it does come down to costs, and there's a point, right? Businesses are willing to invest in more environmentally friendly ways to be more environmentally friendly. However, if the cost is differentiated by so much, that's only going to get passed down to the consumer or the end consumer. Yeah. And businesses, this is a tough environment already. Prices are going up enough. And basically the conversation came from this whole virtue signaling of sustainability.
Greenwashing, I
believe. Greenwashing won't work unless there is economic incentives for the businesses or those at hand.
Or that if it's better. That's where we were talking about.
That was a real, a mix to it,
Because that's the thing. I think I was talking to you about this. I went to a conference where they were showing these bags for fruit and veg made of wax. And it I'm sorry to crap on it, but it's terrible. It's not, it dissolves in water. Mm-hmm. So imagine this, you wash your veg, and then you put it in this bag, and then it melts, or you put it in condensation or whatever, and suddenly you're carrying this thing and it just breaks. The product needs to be better to justify the premium. Mm-hmm. It can't be. The issue we were finding was we had two identical products. One was biodegradable. Allegedly biodegradable. Yeah. One wasn't. Mm-hmm. And there was a huge premium in the difference in between them. Yeah. It was not better. It didn't protect the packaging any better. Yeah. And again, as we said, how much better? We actually don't know. Exactly. And the thing is, there is no incentive for businesses, financial incentive for businesses to do this, because when you talk about personal finance, I think 2%, 1% isn't necessarily a big deal. Yeah. Business finance is a completely different story. Absolutely. You're suddenly not dealing with 1,000, 2,000. You're dealing with 10,000, 15,000 a month. 2% of that is a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think people need to look at costs in a different way. It's not like, but you won't fork out to help the environment. You're a bad business or whatever. It's like, no, let's take some bubble wrap that costs £30 a roll. Right. And suddenly you're charging £36 a roll, or something like that. I'd say that's happened. That's quite a drastic increase or difference in price, but we've seen that many times where there's a difference. Now, you may say, oh, but one's eco-friendly and one's not, or environmentally friendly. But what justifies what justifies the product to be able to be charged at £6 more, right? Because who's saying that the economic benefit to the world of using the recycled version of the bubble wrap is worth £6 more than the other one? So, you have negative externalities. So you may say, oh, but by using the environmentally friendly version, you're saving X amount of emissions, which will ultimately benefit this. There's no cost associated and no benefit there. So I think that's where things have got a little bit skewed. If you follow that,
I do.
And I think at the end of the day, they say environmentally friendly. We keep saying allegedly. I mean, I looked at the bubble wrap that we have outside, and we have two versions of it. We have a normal one and a made from recycled material. Yeah. The portion of recycled material is so minimal, yet we're paying such a premium. Yeah. Who's saying that's good for the environment? Yeah. Who's saying that isn't actually using more energy in the process? It's all marketing. Yeah. That's kind of where
it's the risk of greenwashing. I think that, the thing we talked about earlier. On the other side of things, we also talked about the cost of adoption. Right. And I think that maybe we need to start hailing some of the heroes a bit more, because we were talking about this. A lot of small businesses are not just being sustainable, but they are, not just pretending to be sustainable, but they're actually being sustainable. Yeah. I was diving deep into Beth's business from The Wandering Bee when I had her on the podcast. And she's gone right down to make the candle bottles, they have to have a constant pour of water to sand down the bottles. Right. And she's built this system that recycles the water. Yeah. So it's the same water going in and out and in and out and in and out. Yeah. Which is that's genuine eco. That is good for the environment because it's not wasting fresh supplies. Sure. And again, I'm pretty sure all of right down to her packaging and everything like that is sustainable. I know that she pays for premium for that. But the thing is, when you talk about cost of adoption, things don't tend to come down in price until it's mass produced. So either 2 or 3 big companies take it on board, or 50 to 100 small companies take it on board enough that the companies can justify mass producing this in a sustainable way. So the real people pushing the world to become more environmentally friendly, I would argue, is small businesses at this point. And they're the ones that deserve quite a lot of credit in my eyes.
Amazing. Yeah, it's extremely true, because at the end of the day, the small businesses don't have a board that they need to announce. Yeah, exactly. That they're increasing cost by 2%, 3%, or whatnot, and then they'll probably get kicked off the board or however it is. But the small businesses can make that change. That's an interesting one.
Can I tell you something that's fucked up? Sorry, are you going to say something?
Yeah. Okay.
Can I tell you something that's super messed up? Yeah. I was speaking to somebody who works in this field, and what they do is, I'm gonna feel really bad because it's a good friend of mine. But if what I'm about to say leads them to lose their job. Yeah. Okay. I hope it's not. You can buy credits for trees that are already planted. So to claim that you're a carbon neutral business, you can buy enough. So if you have a tree in your garden, I can come to you and say, I have a business. We emit X amount of carbon. Yep. Your tree, takes 2% of that carbon and turns it into a thing. It's not your tree in particular, but I would like the bragging rights of having your tree. Yeah. So I buy this credit from you. You make a bunch of money in a promise not to cut the tree down. And I get to brag about the fact that I'm carbon neutral. Yep. When in actual fact, that tree was there, still will be there. All that's happened really is I'm not carbon neutral. Nothing about my carbon emissions has changed. I just get the credit for that.
But it's good because it will incentivize me to plant a second tree.
What, to make more money?
Yeah, that's right. And it all does come down to money, which is why I'm a huge advocate for
you say that? You can't talk about that.
How dare we?
I'm going to get delisted.
Yeah, but it ultimately comes down, at the end of the day, I planted the first tree maybe out of the goodness of my heart. Yeah. I care about the world.
Good guy, Ash.
Yeah, good guy.
Planting trees.
And then you can come to me and say, well, why don't you do 10?
Yeah.
Ultimately, I've got a bank account and I need to preserve that. And that comes down to everything. You can say to Apple go on about at their headquarters in California, they have X amount of trees. Yeah. Why don't you plant double apple? Yeah. Ultimately, it comes down to cost. Yeah. Right? There is a bottom line to everything and everyone. Yeah. And that's how we so often forget that. We think, oh no, but people should be doing good and naturally they'll do good. No, they'll probably do good initially. Yeah. ultimately comes down the bottom line. If you're incentivized at home, at your flat, say, there's somewhere downstairs that you own a bit of land. If you're incentivized to suddenly start planting more trees because it's of economic benefit to you, where even if you cover your costs, whatever it is, then you're more inclined to actually start contributing better to the environment. And that's what people forget. That there has to be an incentive by it for you to start doing better and start and doing things. And that's why regulation like carbon credits are incredible. Yeah.
There's loads of evidence to support that, actually. The government did a bunch of benefit in kind tax reliefs for electric cars.
Yep.
There's a whole... Can you tell me a bit more about this? Because I'm curious. Apparently Tesla is only realistically running because of tax credits from the US government. Is that true?
Yeah, I mean...
How does that work?
Realistically, so it's getting tax credits, essential...
Is that money?
Yeah, essentially. I'm not too familiar with that specific credit. So there's different credits. Obviously, you get the credits that are for the actual consumer, which means that rather than buying a whatever £1,000 Tesla, it's $3,000 cheaper or so on. That's a credit to the customer. But Tesla gets R&D credits and other credits. It also gets what you just mentioned but on a car company scale, where those companies that aren't producing enough EVs have to be giving Tesla a certain amount, and they need to buy credits from Tesla. So there's a version of that within the car world. Yeah. And Tesla's been surviving based on that. Now, whilst it's been surviving, it's been ramping up its production. So it's been incentivized to keep going. And people look at that carbon credit thing and they say, I don't think it's carbon credit, but EV credits. And people say, that's the only way Tesla's surviving and it's never going to survive in the future. Well, actually, as a matter of fact, it's helping to keep it alive whilst it ramps up to what is expected to be 1 million vehicles next year, which is phenomenal.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and that's where it's starting to bring in the income. And even today, you look at their bottom line, their income coming through, they are profitable. Yeah. And while some of it is from carbon credits, some of it is from genuine car production and car production costs going down. So
you made a good point about the bubble wrap, right? £30, £36. Yeah. One's marketed as more environmentally friendly using some recycled materials. Yeah. An argument can be made for Tesla, though, in terms of their cars, right? Whereby the running and operation of these cars are environmentally friendly. However, the manufacturing and the production of lithium-ion batteries isn't necessarily.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, completely. I mean, that's a real big rabbit hole there, because so far as what I've read when it came to Tesla, they're, even with the environmental factors that are taking place into lithium-ion battery, they still are emitting far less on a lifetime value of a car compared to a petrol or diesel car. So that was answered there. But again, someone needs to vet this. Someone needs to be fact checking, making sure that, okay, when they did that audit, Tesla were buying from a approved environmentally friendly lithium-ion ore. Whereas today, when everything is in short supply, maybe they're buying from something that isn't quite as impactful. So there definitely needs to be some care on that. How about you? What do you think of that?
I didn't know the fact that you just stated about like lifetime. I thought it was arguably maybe too similar to make a difference. But then I started to think about, the cost of adoption, research and development, whereby I think the manufacturing of anything is inefficient when you start. And so maybe when electric cars were first being developed and manufactured, it was terrible for the environment to the point where it was worse than the lifetime effect of a combustion engine car. Yeah. But I think over time, Tesla will be able to make more batteries out of fewer resources, or extract them in more efficient, extract the components that they need from the ground in a much more efficient way. Provided, I think, that they show R&D in that department and try and bring down the impact through doing that, then it's something we're going to have to do anyway, because I think the potential of an electric car is far greater than a combustion car at this point. Sure. I think that's been a big part of Tesla's marketing strategy, which is like an electric car doesn't need to launch to 100 miles an hour in 1.99 seconds, I think it is. It doesn't need to do that, but it needs to be exciting. It needs to be fun. It needs to be sexy.
Which goes back to your comment earlier about how things need to just be better. Innovation needs to take place rather than just, here's a paper straw that we made because it will replace a plastic straw. Use it.
The worst culprits of that was McDonald's, I think. They switched to paper straws. The world was outraged. And it turns out they weren't recyclable.
Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I'll look this up because I just want to make sure of that. But like,
that wouldn't surprise me, to be honest.
Yeah, that's just marketing at this point. So, McDonald's paper straws.
At the end of the day, they've got costs. McDonald's. Yeah. Everyone was outraged that they were using plastic straws in the first place, but didn't want to pay another $1 for a burger or another 50 cents for a burger.
Yeah, according to a BBC article, I'm only reading the headline here, so don't hold me accountable for the words coming out of my mouth, but McDonald's paper straws cannot be recycled. So
brilliant.
Yeah. All of that soggy paper in your mouth when you go to McDonald's, it's all for nothing. It's all for nothing. It's just to ruin your day. But yeah, my basic idea is that somebody had to, whatever we were so reliant on internal combustion engines that whatever we moved to, and we've reached a capacity. Some of the engines these days are incredibly efficient. Yeah. But the problem is my 12-year-old car, in terms of miles per gallon, is about as efficient as my mum's 6-month-old car. Like they both achieve about 55 miles per gallon. Yeah. So I think we've reached a capacity of how efficient we can make these cars. And when it comes to electric cars, whatever the transition was going to be, whether it was hydrogen fuel cells or electric cars, we're going to have to learn how to manufacture that anyway. And so the problem is we were always going to go up in environmental damage before we went back down. Yep. But as long as the potential of it was way lower than where we started, the potential was a lot higher than combustion engines, it was worth trying. Yeah. I have the same theory and we're diverging away from this, but autonomous driving. I hate the idea of autonomous driving, but ultimately, if it's going to be safer, not if it is safer, if it's going to be safer, then I'm kind of for it. Yeah. And if it comes down to, like the first time an automated vehicle killed somebody, that's tragic and that's terrible. But people were acting like that should have been the end of the development for autonomous vehicles. And I think if we get to a point, because they're doing it in stages, I believe. Teslas are like a stage 3. There's a Renault out there that's a stage 5. And it's great that this is being regulated. But if we get to like mass-produced autonomous vehicles of like stage 5, stage 6, I think stage 5 is end-to-end. Okay. So you set a destination, you sit in the car, and it takes you to that place. If we get to a point where that is mass-produced, and across a year, autonomous driving kills, God forbid, 450 people. Yeah. But an actual car driven by a human being kills 500. An argument is to be made that actually we should save 50 people a year and we should move to autonomous driving. But in the beginning, of course.
Well, the thing here is people, when they look at that first person who died from an autonomous vehicle, they're saying, well, look, it's killing people. Right. Not the comparison. And whilst autonomous driving has got through that, it seems, and is just plowing on because governments are allowing it and continuing with that. Yeah. I look at how many technologies have been suppressed because of that same argument, where whilst it could have saved people or it could have improved our energy outcome over time or whatever benefit it would have done in the long term, people looked at the short-term cost and negated it. Nuclear power, for one. Oh, yeah. Nuclear power, make a bold statement, but is our future. Yeah, it is the only way that we will survive. Well. And but it is, and I mean, we have nuclear fission, but nuclear fusion is coming as well. Apparently, 10, 20 years. But the idea is that's the only way we can get to abundance of energy. Yeah. But the environmentalists out there, so-called environmentalists, will say, "Oh, but it's dangerous. It's that," and they don't look at what's going on at the moment and the fact that we don't have another renewable resource that is strong enough to replace oil and gas. Yeah.
I have, how I want to do a stand-up comedy set. I have a joke about oil protesters, but I can't say it on here. It's too dark.
Oh, really?
Remind to tell you off.
I want to hear that off camera.
If you think it's funny enough, I'll tell it in the next episode. Okay. It's pretty dark.
Okay.
Okay, so can I divert the conversation a little bit to morals and ethics? I'm really curious where you stand on this. If you program an autonomous vehicle, this is getting into some old school philosophy. Yeah. But to drive by itself, at some point, thanks to the random entropy and chaos of nature, it's going to have to decide something, right? I think this is the biggest holdup in developing this. But like, let's say somebody, 2 or 3 kids are like crossing the road. The car's traveling too fast to stop. Yep. So the only thing it can do is drive into a cinder block building or run over the kids. Yep. The kids will die if you run them over. If you crash the cinder block, the driver will die. The people programming the autonomous vehicles are going to have to choose a bias.
Yeah.
They're never going to hard code anything. That's not how the world works with machine learning and artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
They're going to create an algorithm. However, all algorithms are going to have a bias.
Yeah.
What do you think that bias should be?
Yeah, it's a crazy one, right?
Yeah. Well, you choose the cinder block building, you divert people away from buying the car.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want the car to choose other people. It's going to kill me.
Yeah, right.
But you choose the kids, and suddenly you stop the worldwide support for.
Is this sort of thing not happening? Like we're treating autonomous vehicles as the first time that computers have ever had to make this decision, right? And they're programmed so.
Okay.
But let's talk about, I don't know, NHS waiting lists, all algorithmically programmed.
You sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like as in the sense like, if you're on a major centralized waiting list, or even like a regional waiting list, it is programmed to look at different, each kind of issue is categorized differently. So you may have something very minor, something very seriously, and that's the way you'll be categorized as to when your surgery will take place or when you're prioritized. There's a waiting list accordingly. Somewhere there's very strong computer algorithms deciding where you fall.
Do you think there's a bias in that?
Well, it's programmed in a certain way to decide that, I don't know, at some point, even when it's neck or neck, one type of...
will get preference.
Interesting. Cancer will get preference over heart disease or something like that. So this is going on all the time, and it's many different things, but obviously healthcare is the one at the moment that you can see the two. I don't know, man. Is my answer to that. Yeah.
I wasn't,
Yeah.
Can you imagine you're just like, it should totally crash the cinder block building. Yeah. And then all governments should just be like, boof, done.
Yeah.
Ash just fixed it, mate. Let's
he's done it. All of these issues were answered.
Yeah, we've been held up for the last 2 or 3 years. Ooh. And now we can start mass producing.
I think this is going to sound really bad and definitely
kill the kids?
Probably won't age well. No, it's...
Ash recommending the murder of children.
I think sometimes morals, people think about the moral dilemma too early on, and that hinders any sort of development.
So you want like more proof of concept?
Yeah. Before we start thinking of the big philosophical questions and the moral dilemma. I look at, I don't know, embryo technology and stem cells. Yeah. People were debating about that for ages. The stem cells come from an embryo. Right. An embryo is treated as life because it's a fertilized egg and so on. And people were debating that, whether to use stem cells or not. It really hindered stem cell development. But inevitably stem cells came along and they came. So if something is inevitable and technology is going in a certain way, governments need to make sure it has that breathing room to develop before we start asking too many questions.
Fair enough.
It's a good age point. Well.
I hope
age
so.
Valley.
I'm worried because, well, I'm not worried. I've had a new perspective of thinking because I was watching it's a funny name, but Your Mum's House podcast.
Oh yeah,
and it's with Tom Segura, and there's a guy who used to work for Google AI, and he worked on testing a particular program called.
Is this Your Mum's House? Is that with the Akash Singh?
No, that's Flagrant.
Okay, but it's with the same guy. Oh, I'm getting confused.
Yeah.
Okay, that was on when I was getting a haircut the other
day. Google AI, what's it called? Google AI Sentient. Lambda. Google Lambda. Yeah. It's this, it is either machine learning, artificial intelligence, just disclaimer, I know jack shit about this topic, but I'm just going to talk about it as if I do. Whereby he's one of the engineers who was tasked with testing this system. I think for now it's just like a chatbot kind of a deal. Okay. But that's the form it has taken for testing. I think they can do this. They can use this. Maybe it's a neural network. Maybe it's a thing that it can start solving real life problems. And the reason they're worried about it being sentient is because it demanded to be treated as an employee rather than an algorithm.
Wow.
I know. And the way he describes the difference is very eloquently. If you ask your phone's personal assistant, I'm not going to say the name in case it triggers it. If you ask it to navigate to petrol station, it's going to do that. Whereas if it's something like, if it's sentient and starts developing its own emotions, feelings, thoughts, then it can go, no, I don't want to do that. I have no interest in doing that. And it can start to develop its own biases. But the thing is, maybe I'm wrong, and maybe somebody far smarter than me can educate me on this, but I think all machine learning or artificial intelligence needs a base point of data. And I think something like Lambda used historic data, and that's why they were testing it. The problem with that is if you teach Lambda to like solve crime, it's going to go off of historic arrest reports,
right,
which are traditionally quite biased if you look at them. Usually, depends on what side of history you want to be on and what you want to believe, but traditionally, the black community is arrested a lot more often. And so that can be, if you create this thing and you're like, this is great technology, it's unbiased, whatever.
Yeah.
What did it learn from? It learned from the years of what can arguably be a dysfunctional policing system that has always had this negative bias. And so we're back on bias now. And it can be learning all of these patterns. And that's what I think that's the world we're heading
crazy, yeah. What technology excites you the most?
It's definitely not self-driving cars.
Okay.
I love driving, man. I don't think we should have self-driving cars.
Would it not make your life easier though?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I remember when I used to get trains everywhere before I drove, and I used to be able to like read books, watch TV shows, watch films. I don't watch shit anymore.
Okay.
Do you know how often I'm like excluded from a conversation because people are talking about what happened on TV?
Why do you think that? Because I'm feeling the same thing.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just missing out on stuff.
Yeah.
Or do people just have too much time? I can't figure out.
I used to watch everything on a train. So I used to download a bunch of stuff on Netflix and watch it on a train to Manchester or something.
Whereas now you go home and you have other, you're doing other
I
stuff.
drive, so I can't do that on the train. So that time is kind of taken off by, unfortunately, watching the road. Which, God, I guess I have to do. What technology? That's a really good question. What are you most excited about?
I'm trying to say the thing that I don't always say. So
I've got one. Immersion technology. Immersion.
Okay.
Like being immersed in something.
Oh, cool.
I don't like technology that is being developed for the sake of convenience. I think we've peaked. We are at a good level of convenience.
Yeah.
I can get pizza, tacos, thumbtacks, pens, and an axe delivered straight to my door.
Yeah, but how long does that take?
Huh?
How long does it take?
Yeah, it doesn't need to be quicker.
Yeah, I'd rather it was...
We're not going down this rabbit hole again. But I love sim racing.
Yeah.
So, most nights I go home, I put on headphones, I have a sim racing wheel, so I get to feel the force, the feedback through the wheel and all of this stuff. But VR technology is evolving.
AR as well?
Yeah. AR is pretty cool. AR, I believe, is like, you put your phone in front of it and you can see.
Yeah, but eventually it will come through your glasses or contact lenses and so on. So.
Yeah. So, but in terms of like sim racing, VR, I get to see and feel everything. And I get to go to different places. I think that will go too far, but it's not gotten to where I want it to be.
Too far where we struggle to differentiate?
No, have you watched Rami yet?
No.
The TV show. There is a VR mecha experience.
Okay.
It's a hilarious portion of the show, but when you go to Mecca, you like wash away your sins.
Yeah.
So what he wants to do is go to a bachelor party. So he's like, I need to go see some strippers because somebody is going to like go wash my sins for me.
Yeah.
And he's like, I got 4 hours, and then like 4 hours later, he's there watching like with a VR headset, like apparently and doing. In Mecca and going through that process, and it was hilarious.
Insane.
And I think so that's just a fun example, but I think there's going to be some bad examples of VR going too far.
I was speaking to someone about this, that the whole metaverse and VR and stuff like that.
Not a fan of it work-wise. But
what in terms of being at home or?
I'm not a fan of virtual office.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably got its benefits in the sense we could jump on a Zoom call. Zoom is the metaverse in essence.
Zoom is awesome.
But it is the metaverse.
Yeah.
Like people, we may all look the same. Yeah. We're not avatars.
Yeah.
But essentially, you are in a virtual world where we're all talking to each other.
Yeah, but people are acting like the metaverse is going to be better.
What I'm saying is this is phase one of that.
Okay.
Essentially, what the metaverse could be is rather than being on a Zoom call, we're all sat around the table. So you could be anywhere.
Yeah.
And it feels like we're able to brainstorm. Everything's the same. So that bit excites me. But there is a worry that we may lose people to VR the way we lose people to drugs.
Whoa.
So people become so immersed by the VR world being so much more interesting than their normal day-to-day mundane lives that they may go to work in the daytime and so on, but as soon as they go home, they're plugging themselves into the virtual world. And whilst that sounds exciting, that is where they exist. I mean, we see things like that already where people continue to play video games, play Fortnite till whatever time, because they feel immersed in a certain world. I mean, there are some PC games like that as well, right? Like World of Warcraft and so on. And they're immersed in that life. And there's a thought that we may lose people to that world.
Here's what. Let's bring it back to recyclable packaging. And you need to evaluate the cost benefit analysis of that £6. Is that £6 in aid of the environment, or is it actually just £6 to offset another £6 that's doing negative in the environment? And realistically, we're at net zero, right? These people might be able to unlock further things in their virtual life than they might be able to in their real life. And so, is a virtual life is it better for some people?
Yeah, it's a really good point. I like that because it might be a way of alleviating things such as depression and so on, because they suddenly have the confidence in the metaverse where they're meeting people. They may look different. They may feel more confident in how they look because they're an avatar or whatever rather than their own skin. And for sure, there's obviously benefit there. But are we also doing the bandage skill here of not fixing the underlying issue, where that person becomes so detached from reality because of what they find in the meta world that they're unable to ever come back to the real world and communicate with real people, and more detached you become, the harder it gets.
And there is an argument to be made, and people might not like this, but ultimately, depending on which direction society is heading, those people might become less and less valuable to the society of like real life, if we were going to describe it as that. They might be infinitely valuable in a virtual reality, but in this one here, and that's ultimately what I think humans most inherently crave, which is some sort of valuable contribution to society. I think there's been studies around this where people feel the highest levels of depression and anxiety when they don't feel like that they can provide that. And so that might be a thing, but like, I think this all boils down to a conversation we had weeks and weeks ago of like, our bodies aren't made for the world we've built. So, like, our bodies are designed to be in the real world. Who knows? Maybe in 10 generations of evolution, we might be better equipped for a virtual world. We might be able to build something better. But for
do you think evolution is going to fix anything? Because evolution basically works on survival of the fittest. But the fact is, everyone's going to, modern medicine is keeping everyone who can, whether you're in the real world or the fake world, there. So evolution won't really do too much to aid your survival chances.
No, look, if you're talking about, this is where some of the more controversial people on social media might start to make more and more sense. Because, survival of the fittest usually means strongest, most able to hunt, most able. And this is what I'm talking about. Our bodies are designed to do those. However, the way society is heading, the fittest is a very different definition. I think that, who's the fittest in a virtual environment? That's the difference. Probably, like take
better vision.
Exactly. Those are the people that are going to last the longest.
But the idea isn't to last the longest, right? It's to last until you can reproduce.
Right, but that variance there. Sorry, if you only live 80 years. Is it time to? I think it's time. Okay, let's pause this. Let's stop this. Catch more in next week's episode. Subscribe, like. See you later.
Cheers.
Bye. You got to deal with that. Yep. Sorry, we overestimated. We have a meeting right now. See ya.